Need a quick refresher before jumping back into Hunter x Hunter? This recap covers everything from the very beginning up to the end of the Zoldyck family arc, going over all the important moments in a simple, easy-to-follow way so you're ready to keep watching. So let's dive straight in. Mito is cleaning fish when some people talk about her 12-year-old nephew, Gon. Gon is trying to catch the huge master of the swamp, a giant fish that only his father Ging managed to catch 20 years ago. Mito made this a condition before allowing Gon to leave because she doesn't want him to take the hunter exam. Gon finally catches the fish and brings it back to the village, surprising everyone. Even though Mito is worried, she keeps her promise. That night, Mito asks Gon to stay on Whale Island instead of becoming a hunter like his father. Gon says he wants to understand why Ging chose being a hunter over staying with his own son. Mito warns him that the hunter life is dangerous, but Gon has already made up his mind. The next morning, Mito and her grandmother say goodbye as Gon leaves the island. On the ship, Gon notices a crew member named Katsuo being picked on by the other sailors, so he helps him out. Soon after, Gon tells the captain that a big storm is coming because the birds and even the smell of the air are giving him clues. The captain is surprised by Gon's sharp senses. When the storm hits, almost everyone gets seasick except Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio. The captain calls the three of them and asks why they want to become hunters. Gon says he wants to learn why his father became one. Kurapika explains that he wants to become a blacklist hunter so he can track down the Phantom Troop, the group that wiped out his Kurta clan. Leorio simply says he wants money because it gives people freedom and a better life. Kurapika and Leorio start arguing and head outside ready to fight. Before anything happens, Katsuo is knocked overboard during the storm. Gon quickly jumps after him, while Kurapika and Leorio grab Gon's legs to keep everyone from falling into the sea. The next day, Katsuo thanks them, and Kurapika and Leorio make peace. Impressed by their teamwork, the captain agrees to take them to the port closest to the hunter exam. When the ship arrives at Dala Harbor, the captain tells Gon that the way to the hunter exam is by following the road to a large cedar tree on top of a hill. Gon shares this with Kurapika and Leorio. After checking the map, they notice the tree is in the opposite direction of Zaban City, where the exam is supposed to be. Leorio decides to take the bus instead, but Kurapika believes the strange directions are probably part of the exam. Gon heads toward the cedar tree, and Kurapika follows him. After overhearing some experienced applicants say the bus is a trap, Leorio quickly catches up with them. The three arrive at a quiet town where masked people stop them. An old woman says they must answer a quiz before they can continue. She asks a question with only 2 possible answers and gives them 5 seconds to respond. The question has no correct answer, making everyone confused. Another applicant rushes in and gives an answer, but Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio stay silent. Just as Leorio gets angry, Kurapika realizes that staying silent is the real answer. The old woman lets them pass. At the cedar tree, they find a man and woman being attacked by a strange creature called a Kiriko, which can change its appearance. While Leorio helps the injured man, Gon and Kurapika chase after the Kiriko that kidnaps the woman. Gon catches up and knocks it with his fishing rod, while Kurapika safely catches the woman. However, he notices something suspicious and soon realizes both the injured man and Leorio are actually Kirikos in disguise. The real Kirikos reveal themselves and explain that the whole attack was another test. The Kirikos are impressed by Gon's instincts, Kurapika's careful thinking, and Leorio's kindness. Since the three passed their test, the Kirikos carry them through the forest and take them to the entrance of the hunter exam. Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio finally arrive in Zaban City. Gon is excited to see how busy the city is, with people buying and selling everywhere. Their navigator takes them to a tall building, so they think they have reached the hunter exam. Instead, he leads them into a small restaurant next door. The navigator gives the chef a special order, which is actually a secret password. The chef sends them to a back room where they find an elevator instead of a kitchen. The elevator takes them 100 floors underground to the real entrance of the hunter exam. Kurapika points out that the navigator probably didn't expect them to pass because very few first-time applicants succeed. The three start talking about why they want to become hunters. Leorio says hunters can earn a lot of money and enjoy many special benefits. Kurapika wants the freedom and resources that come with a hunter license. They ask Gon what kind of hunter he wants to become, but Gon simply says he wants to understand why his father chose this life. At the exam waiting area, a man named Beans gives every applicant an identification number. Soon after, they meet Tonpa, a friendly-looking applicant who has earned the nickname Rookie Crusher for tricking first-time participants. He warns them about the other applicants, including Hisoka, who is known for being extremely dangerous. When another applicant bumps into Hisoka without apologizing, Hisoka quickly takes him down. Tonpa then offers Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio some juice mixed with laxatives, hoping to knock them out. However, all three realize something is wrong and avoid drinking it. Just then, another rookie named Killua drinks a can without any problem and casually says poison doesn't affect him. Soon after, the first examiner, Satats, arrives and tells everyone to follow him as the first phase of the hunter exam begins. The applicants keep running behind Satats for hours and cover more than 30 kilometers. Leorio starts getting tired and complains when he sees another applicant riding a skateboard instead of running. Gon points out that Satats only said they had to follow him, so using a skateboard isn't against the rules. The skateboard rider introduces himself as Killua after finding out he and Gon are both 12 years old. The two quickly become friends and chat while keeping up with the group. Meanwhile, another applicant named Nicholas becomes completely exhausted. The Amori brothers make fun of him until he gives up, and it turns out Tonpa secretly paid them to discourage him. Leorio is also close to quitting, but when he sees Gon waiting for him instead of moving ahead, he finds the motivation to keep going. Killua tells Gon to leave Leorio behind, but Gon refuses. Leorio catches up, and Gon even uses his fishing rod to grab the briefcase Leorio accidentally dropped. As they continue running, Kurapika asks Leorio if he really only wants money. Kurapika then explains that the Phantom Troop wiped out his Kurta clan to steal their famous Scarlet Eyes. He wants to become a blacklist hunter so he can recover the stolen eyes and get revenge. Leorio finally admits his real reason for joining the exam. A close friend died from an illness because they couldn't afford treatment. Since then, Leorio has wanted to become a doctor and treat poor people for free, but he needs money to pay for medical school. Kurapika smiles after hearing the truth. Killua says he's only taking the exam because it sounds fun. The two race to the end of the tunnel, but Satats says they finish at the exact same time. When everyone reaches the exit, Satats warns them that they are entering the Milsey Wetlands, also called the Swindler's Swamp, where dangerous creatures trick travelers. A man suddenly appears, claiming Satats is a fake examiner. Before anyone can react, Hisoka throws sharp playing cards and kills the man, exposing him as one of the swamp's monsters. Satats confirms he is the real examiner and leads everyone into the swamp. The applicants continue through the dangerous Milsey Wetlands. Killua tells Gon they should stay close to Satats, and Gon agrees. Killua also wants to keep their distance from Hisoka because he can sense how dangerous he is. Gon tries to smell it as well, but says he doesn't notice anything. Before running ahead, Gon tells Kurapika and Leorio to catch up, and they assure him they'll be fine. The swamp is full of creatures that trick travelers. Kurapika and Leorio avoid several dangerous animals, including giant turtle-like creatures that use fruit as bait. Kurapika fights one with his wooden sword so they can escape. Meanwhile, Gon and Killua accidentally step onto a giant frog hiding underground and get swallowed. Luckily, Killua makes the frog spit them out by pouring Tonpa's bad drink into its mouth, and the two continue moving. Later, Kurapika and Leorio come across a group of applicants confronting Hisoka. They want him removed from the exam because he's too dangerous. Hisoka doesn't take them seriously and defeats almost all of them with his playing cards in just a few seconds. Seeing this, Kurapika and Leorio split up to escape. Leorio eventually decides to stand his ground and attacks Hisoka, but he's no match for him. Gon arrives just in time and catches Hisoka off guard by hitting him with his fishing rod. Hisoka is impressed, but when Gon tries to fight again, Hisoka easily overpowers him. Instead of finishing them off, Hisoka says both Gon and Leorio have earned the right to continue the exam. He picks up the unconscious Leorio and carries him toward the next checkpoint. Gon and Kurapika follow Hisoka by tracking Leorio's scent. Along the way, they talk about what happened. Kurapika believes Hisoka is interested in strong people who could become worthy opponents someday. Gon admits that he was scared for the first time, but the experience also made him even more excited to keep going. Gon and Kurapika reach the next checkpoint and find Leorio resting under a tree. He doesn't remember what happened with Hisoka, so Gon and Kurapika decide not to tell him. Killua soon joins them and is surprised they made it through the swamp. The first examiner, Satats, says goodbye as the group enters a large mansion. There they meet the next examiners, Menchi and Bahara, who are gourmet hunters. The second phase of the exam is all about cooking, which many applicants don't take seriously. For the first task, everyone must hunt a great stamp, a huge and dangerous wild boar, and cook it. Gon discovers that apples falling on a boar's head can knock it out, making it much easier to catch. Thanks to this, many applicants return with boars. However, most of them simply roast the meat while Kurapika tries a different recipe. Menchi dislikes every dish, and after Buhara finishes eating, she fails all the applicants. The decision upsets everyone, especially Todo, who argues with Menchi. She explains that the applicants didn't show enough creativity or effort. The argument gets so heated that the Hunter Association's chairman, Netero, arrives to settle things. Menchi admits she let her emotions affect her judgment, so Netero allows her to give the applicants one more test. The new challenge takes place at Split Mountain, where they must collect rare spider eagle eggs hanging over a deep cliff. Menchi shows them the correct method by jumping into the ravine, grabbing an egg, and using a strong updraft to float back up safely. Some applicants rush in and fall because they don't wait for the wind. Gon uses his sharp senses to tell everyone the right moment to let go, helping many of them succeed. After cooking the eggs, everyone is surprised by how delicious they are. To-Do finally understands why gourmet hunters risk their lives for rare ingredients. By the end of the second phase, only 42 applicants remain. The remaining applicants board an airship that will take them to the next part of the Hunter exam. Chairman Netero officially introduces himself, and his assistant Beans announces that they will reach the third phase the next morning. Until then, everyone is free to eat, relax, and get some rest. Gon and Killua decide to explore the airship and invite Kurapika and Leorio, but both of them choose to sleep instead. Tonpa warns them that even the break could be part of the exam, hoping they stay awake and become tired. However, Kurapika doesn't believe anything will happen, and he and Leorio fall asleep anyway. The examiners talk about the remaining contestants. They agree that this year's group is unusually talented. They mention Hanzo's skills and also discuss how dangerous Hisoka is, with Menchi saying she was already keeping an eye on him before the cooking test even started. As they walk around the ship, Gon asks Killua about his family. Killua casually reveals that he comes from a family of assassins and was expected to take over the family business. Instead, he left home because he wanted to choose his own path. Later, Chairman Netero surprises Gon and Killua by challenging them to a game. If either of them can take a ball from his hands, they will pass the Hunter exam immediately. Both boys try everything they can. Killua even uses one of his assassination techniques, but Netero easily avoids every attack without much effort. After a while, Killua gives up and decides to get some sleep. Gon refuses to quit and keeps trying until he finally forces Netero to use both of his hands instead of just one. Although Gon never gets the ball, Netero is impressed by his determination. Completely exhausted after the challenge, Gon falls asleep almost immediately, while the airship continues toward the next stage of the Hunter exam. The airship arrives at Trick Tower, a giant prison where dangerous criminals are kept. Beans explains that the third phase of the Hunter exam is simple. The applicants must reach the bottom of the tower within 72 hours. At first, some people think about climbing down the outside of the tower. One applicant, who is an experienced rock climber, gives it a try. However, he is quickly attacked and eaten by flying creatures, showing everyone that climbing down isn't an option. After looking around, Gon notices that applicants are slowly disappearing. He discovers that some of the large stone tiles on the floor can be flipped over, revealing hidden entrances. Gon, Killua, Kurapika, and Leorio each choose a tile and climb inside. Even though they enter through different openings, they all end up in the same room. Inside, they find 5 watches, each with an X button and an O button. A voice explains that they have entered the majority rules route. Every time they face a decision, they must vote, and the option with the most votes becomes the only path they can take. They soon realize they need a 5th teammate before they can continue. 2 hours later, Tonpa arrives and joins the group. Their first vote is whether to open a nearby door. Everyone votes yes except Tonpa, so the door opens. Soon after, they must choose between a left door and a right door. Gon and Leorio vote for the right, while Killua, Kurapika, and Tonpa choose the left. Since the majority picks the left side, that's the way they go. The group enters a large room where 5 prisoners are waiting. The prison warden, Lippo, explains the rules. To continue, the team must win at least 3 out of 5 one-on-one challenges against the prisoners. Every hour the prisoners delay them reduces their prison sentence by 1 year. Tompa volunteers but immediately gives up without even trying. He admits he never wanted to become a hunter and only joined the exam to make other applicants fail. Leorio is furious, while Gon steps forward to face the next prisoner. Gon then faces Sedakan, who proposes a match to see whose candle burns the longest. Gon chooses the longer candle, unaware that it is oil-soaked, and his candle starts to burn faster midway. Seeing that his candle is not susceptible to strong winds, he puts it down and sprints towards Sedakan to blow his candle out. The next match is between Kurapika and Majtani, who proposes a death match without weapons and with the condition that one must die or surrender to finish the match. Majtani, who relies on scaring and intimidating his enemies to make them surrender, gloats about how many people he's killed and even keeps multiple heart tattoos numbering them. Kurapika notices a spider tattoo on Majtani's back and his eyes become scarlet. He easily defeats him with a devastating punch, knocking him out but not killing him. Kurapika tells Majtani to remember 3 things. A genuine Phantom Troop tattoo has the member's number inscribed on the spider tattoo's back. They have murdered so many people that it would be impossible to count, and do not ever mention the Phantom Troop again to Kurapika again, or he will kill Majtani. The group becomes frightened by Kurapika's outburst, and the others try to figure out if Kurapika has a thing with spiders. He sits in the corner alone, while the prisoners think of their next strategy. The next prisoner points out that the match isn't over because Matani is still alive. Leorio, Kurapika, and Killua argue about what to do next. Killua even offers to finish Matani off, but Gon suggests waiting instead. Tonpa enjoys watching the group argue, hoping they'll fall apart because of the majority voting rules. Meanwhile, Hisoka reaches his own challenge. Waiting for him is Togari, a former hunter examiner who wants revenge after Hisoka injured him during the previous exam. Togari attacks with several curved knives, but Hisoka easily avoids them. After figuring out his attack pattern, Hisoka catches the knives and defeats Togari with his own weapons. He becomes the first applicant to clear the 3rd phase. Back at Trick Tower, Leorio begins to suspect that Majtani is only pretending to be unconscious. A prisoner named Larut offers a betting game to settle it. Both teams can bet hours from their remaining time. If the applicants lose all their time, they fail the exam. If the prisoners lose, extra years are added to their prison sentences. For the first bet, Leorio wagers 10 hours that Majtani is still alive. He checks Majtani's heartbeat and wins, earning the team 10 extra hours. Larut then makes a second bet about whether Majtani is really unconscious. Leorio notices small movements in Majtani's eyes and becomes convinced he's faking. To prove it, he drags Majtani to the edge of the platform and threatens to throw him off. Since an unconscious person wouldn't react, Leorio expects Majtani to reveal himself. At first, Majtani keeps pretending, but as Leorio lets him slip over the edge, he panics and wakes up. Leorio quickly pulls him back to safety. Majtani admits defeat, saying he'd rather stay in prison than risk falling. Larut is impressed and asks how Leorio figured it out. He explains that his medical training helped him notice the signs. Even though the team loses time during the betting game, they now lead the overall challenge by 2 wins to 1, and the next match is ready to begin. Leorio continues his betting game with Larut. This time, she asks him to guess whether she is male or female. Even though she clearly looks like a woman, Leorio surprises everyone by betting that she is a man. He jokes that even if he loses, he'll still get the chance to examine her. Larut reveals that she is actually female, so Leorio loses the bet. Next, Larut challenges Leorio to a game of rock, paper, scissors. She confidently bets 80 hours on herself and claims she can read his mind. Although it's only a bluff, her words make Leorio nervous. Kurapika points out that people under pressure often choose rock because it's the easiest option. Leorio ends up picking rock exactly as Larut expected and loses. The same thing happens again in the second round, costing the team another large amount of time. Even though they lose hours, they still lead the overall score. The final match is between Killua and a dangerous prisoner named Jonas. As soon as Jonas's handcuffs are removed, the other prisoners back away from him. Leorio recognizes Jonas as a notorious serial killer and warns Killua to be careful. Once the match begins, Jonas says he isn't interested in the hunter exam and only wants to kill Killua. Killua calmly replies that the loser will die. Before Jonas can even attack, Killua disappears and instantly tears Jonas's heart out with his bare hand. Everyone is left speechless by how fast it happens. Jonas barely has time to react before collapsing. Killua casually hands over the heart, and the match is over in seconds. With Killua's victory, the team wins 3 out of 5 matches and clears the 3rd phase of the Hunter exam. Meanwhile, other applicants, including Gitarocker and Hanzo, also finish the 3rd phase and move on to the next stage. Gon, Killua, Kurapika, Leorio, and Tonpa are locked in a small room for 50 hours because of the time they lost during the betting game. While they wait, other applicants continue making their way through Trick Tower. Killua mentions that he can stay awake for 2 or 3 days without sleeping. Later, he throws a pillow at Gon. The two start a pillow fight, which wakes up Leorio. Eventually, the 50 hours are over, and the door finally opens. Gon is the first one to rush outside. The group continues through the tower, passing several obstacles until they reach one final room with only 1 hour left on the clock. Inside are 2 doors. The door marked with an O allows all 5 of them to pass, but the path takes at least 45 hours to complete, which they don't have. The door marked with an X only takes 3 minutes, but allows just 3 people through. As everyone tries to decide what to do, Tonpa loses his patience and grabs an axe, starting a fight with Leorio. While watching Tonpa swing the axe, Gon comes up with a simple idea. They all choose the O door so everyone can enter together. Once inside, they use the axe to smash the wall separating the 2 paths. This lets them reach the shorter route without leaving anyone behind. The plan works perfectly. Gon, Killua, Kurapika, Leorio, and even Tonpa all reach the bottom of Trick Tower just before time runs out, successfully passing the 3rd phase of the Hunter exam. 24 applicants successfully clear Trick Tower and move on to the 4th phase of the Hunter exam. Lippo explains that the next test will take place on Zevil Island. Before leaving, each applicant draws a card with another contestant's ID number. That number becomes their target. To pass this phase, each person must collect 6 points. Keeping their own badge is worth 3 points, stealing their target's badge is worth another 3 points, and every other badge is worth 1 point. They are free to use any method to get badges, including fighting if necessary. When Gon reveals his target, he finds out he has to steal Hisoka's badge. Instead of feeling discouraged, he's excited because he sees it as a chance to challenge himself. Killua tells Gon to be careful, and Gon wishes him good luck as well. After a 2-hour boat ride, the applicants arrive on Zevil Island. They leave the boat one at a time, giving the earlier contestants a chance to hide or track their targets first. Killua heads off to scout the island, while Gon immediately starts thinking about how to steal Hisoka's badge without fighting him directly. While searching the island, Gon sees another applicant, Pakal, quietly following his own target. Pakal fires a tranquilizer arrow, knocks his target down, and easily takes the badge. Watching this teaches Gon an important lesson. Instead of attacking head-on, he should wait for the perfect opportunity. Gon spends the rest of the day practicing with his fishing rod. He starts by hooking apples hanging from trees, then tries moving targets like frogs and birds. At first he fails over and over, but he keeps practicing. The next day, Gon notices a bird waiting for a fish to chase a fly before swooping in to catch it. He realizes hunters often wait until their target is distracted before making a move. Using that idea, Gon finally catches a bird with his fishing rod and feels confident he now has a plan to steal Hisoka's badge. What Gon doesn't know is that another applicant, Gareta, has been secretly watching him the entire time and is waiting for the right chance to make a move. Gon at last perfects his technique for snagging Hisoka's badge. He notices that his hands are drenched in blood and blistered from practicing for 2 days straight. The scent of blood attracts hemotropic butterflies. Gon then recalls seeing Hisoka wounded on his shoulder from Trick Tower. He takes advantage of this by using the hemotropic butterflies to lead him to Hisoka's location. Gon finds Hisoka and sits quietly in bushes to hide his presence, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Meanwhile, Leorio has a run-in with Tonpa. Tonpa is collaborating with Sami to steal badges. However, Kurapika halts Tonpa. They soon catch Sami and his pet monkey too. Leorio receives his badge back, and Kurapika takes Tonpa's badge, having a total of 6 points to clear the 4th phase. At the break of dawn, Hisoka senses someone nearby in the bushes, and he proceeds to walk towards them. Gon thinks that Hisoka notices him, but it turns out to be Gaz. Gaz challenges Hisoka to a duel, allowing Gon an opportunity to strike while Hisoka is attacking his prey. Gauze relentlessly attacks with his spear while Hisoka dodges effortlessly. Gauze collapses from a fatal wound he received before confronting Hisoka. Hisoka knows Gauze wanted to die in battle, but even so, he still refuses to fight him, because in Hisoka's eyes, Gauze is already dead. Gauze enraged bolts towards Hisoka, but out of nowhere, he's struck down by Gitarakur's needles, instantly killing him. Gitarakur removes the pins from his face, morphing into another one, and is revealed to be a comrade of Hisoka. He gives Hisoka another's badge, and having 6 points of his own to pass the 4th phase, he digs a hole and decides to sleep on it until the final day. On the evening of the 2nd day, Hisoka begins to search for his target and comes across Leorio and Kurapika. Gon quietly follows Hisoka through the forest, waiting for the perfect chance to steal his badge. Soon, Hisoka runs into Kurapika and Leorio. Gon isn't sure whether to stick to his plan or help his friends if a fight breaks out. Hisoka asks Kurapika and Leorio for their badges because he only needs 2 more points to pass. Leorio refuses right away, while Kurapika realizes they aren't Hisoka's actual targets. Instead of fighting, Kurapika offers one of the extra badges he has collected. Hisoka accepts the offer, and the two leave safely. Gon is relieved, but he knows he'll need another chance to steal Hisoka's badge. The next day, Hisoka starts hunting again. Gon follows him and notices another applicant, Aegon, walking nearby. Gon hides and waits, hoping Hisoka will become distracted during the fight. As Hisoka charges at Aegon, Gon carefully swings his fishing rod. At the exact moment Hisoka focuses on his attack, Gon successfully hooks Hisoka's badge and pulls it away. Aegon is defeated in seconds, and Gon catches the badge as it flies toward him. However, Hisoka immediately notices what happened and looks straight at Gon. Gon runs as fast as he can, thinking he has finally succeeded. Suddenly, his body stops moving and he falls to the ground. Garetta appears and explains that he shot Gon with a poisoned dart while secretly following him for days. Garetta says Gon spent so much time watching Hisoka that he forgot to watch his own surroundings. He takes both Gon's badge and Hisoka's badge before walking away. A few moments later, Garetta suddenly falls over. Hisoka has defeated him and recovered the badges. Impressed by Gon's patience and timing, Hisoka returns both badges to him. Gon refuses to accept the victory because it doesn't feel earned. Hisoka tells Gon to keep training and says he'll take his badge back only after Gon becomes strong enough to land a punch on him. Before leaving, Hisoka knocks Gon down with a single punch. That night, Gon sits alone, realizing he passed the test but still has a lot to learn. Killua notices that Imori has been secretly following him for a while. Instead of waiting, Killua calls him out. Imori plans to attack only after Killua falls asleep, but Killua gets tired of waiting and walks straight toward his hiding place. Soon, Imori's brothers, Amori and Umori, show up and pressure him to fight. Amori tells Killua to hand over his badge, promising not to hurt him. Amori attacks and sends Killua flying with a kick, but Killua quickly gets back up. In the next moment, he surprises everyone by pulling Imori's badge out of his pocket without anyone noticing. After checking the badge, Killua realizes Imori isn't his target. He asks if one of the other brothers has the badge he needs. Before they can react, Killua suddenly appears behind Imori and holds him still. He asks Umori to hand over his badge. Once he gets it, Killua throws the other badges far into the distance and walks away. Hanzo, who has been secretly watching the whole time, runs to grab one of the badges. However, Killua had already switched them before throwing them, so Hanzo ends up with the wrong one. Meanwhile, Kurapika and Leorio wait near the starting point, hoping to find Leorio's target, Ponzu. Gon joins them and offers to help track her down using his strong sense of smell. Since Ponzu carries different medicines and chemicals, Gon is able to follow her scent through the forest. The three eventually find a cave where Ponzu is hiding. Leorio goes inside first while Gon and Kurapika stay outside. A few moments later, they hear Leorio shout and rush in. They find him lying on the ground covered in snake bites. Ponzu explains that another applicant, Bourbon, filled the cave with poisonous snakes before dying. Anyone who tries to leave is attacked by the snakes guarding the exit. Since Bourbon is already dead, nobody can control the snakes anymore, leaving everyone trapped inside the cave. Ponzu says she's ready to give up on the exam and wait for the examiners to rescue them after the test ends. However, Leorio has been poisoned by the snake bites, and the others know they can't wait that long. Gon decides to search Bourbon's body for an antidote. Even though the snakes attack him, he manages to find the medicine and bring it back. Leorio takes the antidote, and both he and Gon recover without any serious problems. Gon then asks Ponzu if she still has the sleeping gas she used earlier. He offers to trade Bourbon's badge, which he found while searching for the antidote, in exchange for the gas. Ponzu agrees, but warns him that the gas takes 5 minutes to put all the snakes to sleep. Gon confidently says he can hold his breath long enough. After Ponzu releases the gas, Gon holds his breath, stays awake, and carries Leorio, Kurapika, and Ponzu out of the cave. Once they are safely outside, Gon gives Bourbon's badge to Ponzu. Before leaving, he also takes Ponzu's own badge as payment for helping her, giving him enough points to pass the 4th phase. Kurapika and Leorio also have enough points, so all 3 move on to the final stage of the Hunter exam. Later, Chairman Netero and the examiners discuss the last phase. Before it begins, Netero interviews each remaining applicant, asking who they would most like to face and who they would rather avoid. Using those answers, he prepares the final tournament bracket. Back at the waiting area, Gon and Kurapika talk about everything that happened on Zevil Island, and they thank each other for all the help they gave during the exam. The 9 remaining applicants arrive for the final phase of the Hunter exam. Chairman Netero explains the rules. This time, each person only needs 1 win to pass. If someone loses, they move to another match and get another chance. The only person who never manages to win will be the one who fails the exam. The first match is Gon against Hanzo. As soon as the fight begins, Gon rushes forward, but Hanzo easily blocks his attack and knocks him down. Hanzo is much stronger and more experienced, and he keeps telling Gon to give up. Gon refuses every time, even though he can barely fight back. Hanzo continues attacking while trying to convince Gon that surrendering is the smart choice. Gon stays determined and keeps getting back up. Watching this, Leorio becomes furious and wants to step in, but the rules say that interfering would disqualify Gon. Kurapika also watches helplessly as Hanzo eventually breaks Gon's arm after another refusal to quit. Hanzo explains that he doesn't enjoy hurting Gon and even talks about his past as a ninja. Gon surprises him by landing a kick, but it doesn't change the fight. Hanzo then threatens to cut off Gon's legs if he still won't surrender. Gon tries to argue that doing so would be a bad idea because he could bleed to death, which would get Hanzo disqualified. Hanzo calmly replies that he could simply take the exam again next year. Gon then innocently asks if there's another way for Hanzo to lose without either of them getting hurt. His unexpected question makes most of the other applicants laugh, although Killua is still worried. Hanzo realizes that no matter what happens, Gon will never give up. Gon says he has to become a hunter because he wants to understand why his father chose that life and hopes to meet him someday. Finally, Hanzo decides to surrender instead. Gon technically wins the match, becoming the first person to pass the Hunter exam. Gon isn't happy with the result because he doesn't feel like he earned it, and he keeps questioning Hanzo until Hanzo finally knocks him out with 1 punch to end the conversation. Gon wakes up after the final match and finds Satots sitting beside his bed. Satots congratulates him on passing the Hunter exam and offers him a handshake. Gon is still unhappy with how he won against Hanzo, so he doesn't accept it at first. Satots explains that the exam is over and Gon is officially a hunter now. He also gives Gon his hunter license and tells him that what he does with it is his own choice. After thinking about it, Gon accepts both the license and Satots' handshake. Gon then asks what happened after he passed out. Satots explains that everyone else finished their matches while Gon was unconscious. Kurapika's match against Hisoka ends unexpectedly when Hisoka whispers something to him and then gives up, letting Kurapika win. Hanzo defeats Pakal after convincing him to surrender, just like he tried to do with Gon. Hisoka also beats Bodoro, who eventually gives up after Hisoka quietly says something to him. Killua's first match is against Pakal, but he chooses to surrender because he doesn't want to fight him. Since Bodoro is too injured for his next match, Killua is instead matched against Gitarakur. During the fight, Gitarakur reveals that he is actually Illumi, Killua's older brother. Illumi tells Killua that he should stop trying to become a hunter and return to his family's life as an assassin. Killua says he only joined the exam because he wanted to be friends with Gon. When Leorio reminds Killua that Gon is already his friend, Illumi threatens to kill Gon. Killua becomes shaken by the threat and eventually gives up the match. After winning, Illumi admits he never really planned to kill Gon. The postponed match between Bodoro and Leorio is about to begin when Killua suddenly appears and kills Bodoro without warning. Because killing another applicant is against the rules, Killua is immediately disqualified and fails the hunter exam. After hearing the full story, Gon is determined to find Illumi and confront him about what happened to Killua. He angrily tells Illumi that he has no right to control Killua's life. Gon insists that Killua was manipulated into giving up the exam and wants to know where he is. Illumi disagrees, saying Killua made his own choice. Gon argues that controlling someone like that is no different from kidnapping. Chairman Netero steps in before the argument gets any worse. Kurapika and Leorio both defend Killua, believing Illumi influenced his actions during the exam. Leorio even suggests that Killua attacked Bodoro to help him. However, Netero says there isn't enough proof to support that idea, so the exam results will stay the same. Pakal then questions Kurapika's match against Hisoka, wondering why Hisoka suddenly surrendered after whispering something to him. Kurapika refuses to explain, and Gon quickly ends the discussion. He says there's no point arguing about how everyone won. Even though Killua failed this time, Gon believes he'll easily pass the exam if he tries again. Gon tells Illumi that if he ever forces Killua to kill against his will again, he won't forgive him. Netero then officially ends the discussion and announces the successful applicants as new hunters. Later, Gon meets Illumi outside and asks one more time where Killua is. This time, Kurapika and Leorio join him. Illumi finally tells them that Killua has returned to his family home on Kukuru Mountain. After Gon and the others leave, Hisoka speaks with Illumi. Illumi thinks Gon could become dangerous in the future, while Hisoka says that's exactly why he's interested in him. As everyone says their goodbyes, Hanzo and Pakal head home. Satots gives Gon his hunter license and tells him that he once knew Gon Freecss. He describes Ging as an incredible hunter who discovered many lost ruins, but was almost impossible to find. Hearing someone praise his father makes Gon smile. Kurapika looks up Kukuru Mountain and finds out it's in the Republic of Padokea. With their destination confirmed, Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio set off to bring Killua home. Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio arrive at the Republic of Padokea, where Killua and the Zoldyck family live. To learn more about the place, they join a tour bus. Their guide, Coco Lu, explains that Kukuru Mountain is home to the famous Zoldyck family, who are known as assassins. When they reach the entrance, she points out the huge gate, called the Gate of Hades. She also mentions a small side door, warning everyone that anyone who has entered through it has never come back alive. Two reckless tourists ignore the warning and go through the small door anyway, hoping to take pictures of the Zoldyck estate. Moments later, their bodies are thrown back outside by a giant furry creature. The other tourists panic and run away, but Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio stay behind. They meet a man named Zebro, who works at the estate. Zebro explains that the giant beast is Mike, the Zoldyck's guard dog. Mike attacks anyone who enters the wrong way, so Zebro refuses to give them the key to the small gate. Kurapika figures out that Zebro isn't actually a guard, but someone who cleans up after Mike. He also realizes that the real entrance is the huge testing gate, which lets visitors pass safely if they can open it. Leorio tries to push the massive gate open, but can't move it at all. Zebro easily opens the first section, showing just how strong he is. Gon knows they aren't strong enough, but he still asks Zebro to let them through. When that doesn't work, Gon even tries to climb over the gate with his fishing rod. After seeing how determined they are, Zebro contacts one of the Zoldyck butlers, but the request is rejected. In the end, Zebro decides to help them himself and leads them through the testing gate. Once inside, he calls for Mike. The huge guard dog appears, and although the group is clearly nervous, Gon stays determined and tells Zebro that they have come to see Killua. Zebro takes them to the servants' quarters, where they meet another worker named Sequant. Sequant warns them that reaching Killua won't be easy and suggests they should just go home. The three refuse to give up. Gon explains that Killua is his friend and he wants to help him. Seeing their determination, Zebro offers to train them so they can open the huge testing gate. Each of them wears a 50-kilogram vest all day, and even simple things like cups and dishes are extremely heavy. Sequant keeps making fun of their efforts, although Zebro apologizes for his attitude. Inside the mansion, Killua is being punished by his brother Meluki while his mother, Kikyo, watches. When they mention that Gon is trying to reach him, Killua says with confidence that Gon will make it through. The group spends days training, but they still can't move the gate. Even though Gon has an injured hand, he secretly trains whenever no one is looking. Eventually, Sequant gives them a few tips, and they finally manage to move the gate a little. After more practice, Gon joins Kurapika and Leorio, and together they successfully push the testing gate open. As they continue toward the mansion, they are stopped by a young butler named Canary. She tells them they can't go any farther without permission. Gon explains that they're Killua's friends, but Canary says she is only following orders. Gon keeps trying to cross the line she draws, and every time she knocks him back. Kurapika and Leorio want to step in, but Gon asks them to stay out of it. Even after taking several hits, he keeps getting back up and calmly says he only wants to see his friend. Canary slowly realizes how sincere Gon is. She remembers Killua mentioning that he had finally made a friend. Moved by Gon's determination, she lowers her guard and tearfully asks them to save Killua. Before anything else can happen, Kikyo shoots Canary with a non-lethal bullet to stop her and delivers a message from Killua, claiming that he doesn't want to see them. Meanwhile, a flashback shows how Killua first met Canary when she became an apprentice butler. Killua tries to be friendly and even offers her an apple, but she politely refuses because she is a servant. Killua notices that she knows a special movement technique and offers to teach her one of his own, called Rhythm Echo. Later, some bounty hunters sneak onto the estate. Canary easily defeats most of them by herself. Even after getting injured, she uses Rhythm Echo to beat their leader. After the fight, Killua asks Canary to be his friend, but she refuses because Kikyo is watching them. Even though she says no, it's clear she appreciates his kindness. Back in the present, Gon and the others help the unconscious Canary. Inside the mansion, Miluki is still punishing Killua for running away from home. When Miluki makes fun of Gon's group, Killua angrily warns him not to touch his friends. Outside, Kikyo introduces herself and Kaluto. Gon asks why Killua won't come out, and Kikyo claims that Killua chose to stay in solitary confinement. Before long, Killua's grandfather Zeno enters the room where Killua is being held. He breaks Killua's chains and tells him that his father Silva wants to speak with him. Canary wakes up and offers to take Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio to the butler's office, where they can contact the family. Silva asks Killua about his friends and whether he truly wants to see them. Killua answers yes without hesitation. Silva then agrees to let him leave, but only after making Killua promise that he will never betray his friends. Killua accepts the promise. As Killua leaves, Kikyo tries to stop him by saying that his friends have already gone. Killua ignores her and walks away anyway. Later, Kikyo complains to Silva for letting Killua leave so easily. Silva calmly says that Killua will return one day because, no matter what, he is still a member of the Zoldyck family. Killua heads to the butler's quarters, where Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio are also on their way. At the mansion, Kikyo worries that Killua's actions will affect whether he becomes the next head of the Zoldyck family. When the group arrives, the butlers welcome them. Goto tells them that Killua is coming, but first they have to play a coin guessing game. Goto hides a coin in one of his hands, and they have to guess which hand it is in. After a few easy rounds, he changes the rules. From now on, a wrong answer means that player is out, and they only have 3 seconds to respond. Leorio guesses wrong first, followed by Kurapika, leaving Gon as the last player. Before the final round, Gon asks for a knife so he can cut open the swelling around his injured eye and see better. Goto speeds up the game, tossing and catching the coin much faster than before, but Gon still guesses the correct hand. The butlers applaud him and admit that all the threats they made during the game were only meant to make it more exciting. Soon after, Killua arrives and happily reunites with Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio. Before they leave, Goto reminds Gon that not everyone in the world can be trusted. On the train, the friends talk about everything that happened at the Zoldyck estate. Killua asks why Gon still hasn't used his hunter license. Gon says he first wants to repay everyone who helped him, including returning Hisoka's badge. Kurapika then reveals what Hisoka whispered to him during the final exam. Hisoka told him that both he and the Phantom Troop would likely appear in York New City. Since Kurapika is searching for the Phantom Troop, he decides to head there. The group says goodbye for now. Kurapika leaves to work as a hunter, Leorio returns to his medical studies, and Gon and Killua decide to train and earn money at Heaven's Arena. Before splitting up, they agree to meet again in York New City on September 1st. This is where the story ends for now. If you want to see what happens next, like and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any updates from Cinematic Memory. See you later!